To other news, in the Transport, Minister Barbara Creecy now launching PRASA, the passenger rail agency of South Africa's renewable energy project. It's called Trainset 300. The theme is implementing safe transport that will advance inclusive economic growth. Newzroom Afrika's Silethiwe and Ndlovu joins us for more now. Silethiwe, good afternoon to you. What's different about this train system?
Well, we're told, Stephen, that it is quite different, but perhaps in terms of, the difference between the train itself, I'm going to bring in now the Minister of Transport, Barbara Creecy, who's going to speak to us about that difference, but also the other major initiatives that were launched here today. Minister, thank you very much for your time. I just want to start off by speaking about the major initiatives that have been launched, but also, of course, we are in Isipingo. You have now officially launched Isipingo Mall. Speak to us about the importance of the launch of the mall, not just for people in KZN, but also for South Africans.
Well, I think that PRASA has two mandates, and the most obvious mandate that we all know about is to provide a safe and reliable passenger service. But the secondary mandate is to assist with urban development and urban renewal. So this mall that we've launched here in Isipingo is one of several projects that we have on intersite property to launch either new retail facilities or new residential facilities. You would know that we've launched a number of residential facilities focusing on affordable student accommodation. So this mandate of urban renewal is a very important use of our considerable property portfolio, but of course it also helps us with a secondary revenue stream.
I want to speak about the train today, the train in question rather. Speak to us about the major difference with this one compared to other trains. Why would you say that this one is quite different?
Well, the Gibela factory has been mandated to produce 600 of these trains. And this is train number 300. So we're half the way through with the order. Now, what is amazing about the Gibela factory is they turn 135 tons of South African-made steel into South African-made trains. And I've had an opportunity to visit that factory, and I've watched how they roll out the steel and press it into component parts of a train such as the one that we are seeing behind us. Of course, that creates hundreds of jobs. I think there are about 800 people working at that Gibela factory. But it's also very significant because it's about promoting advanced manufacturing. And what you would understand is we're entering into a new golden age of rail in South Africa. And that golden age of rail is going to require considerable rolling stock. On Sunday, I was making a request for information from the private sector. One of the areas that we're interested in is the future of that Gibela factory. Who's interested in taking that factory forward once we finish with the current order, and what would be the purpose of that? The African Union decided in 2015 that South Africa is the hub for manufacturing trains for Africa, and we know that there are considerable rail projects going on to the north of us, most immediately the Lobito corridor, but there are also plans Mozambique, Zimbabwe and Namibia to build a railway line. So all of these projects in due course are going to need rolling stock, and we think this factory is well placed to provide it.
And maybe just a last one on my side, Minister. Speak to us about the recent performance and improvement from PRASA, and perhaps just what you're looking forward to in terms of maintaining this momentum.
Well, first of all, let me congratulate PRASA for their unqualified audit. It's been years and years and years since PRASA got an unqualified audit, and that's obviously important because it talks to the fact that there is better governance in the organization, better spending in the organization, better accountability. But I think that the key function of PRASA is to rehabilitate and renew our passenger rail system. 35 of the 40 priority lines are now operating. There's still very significant lines here in KwaZulu-Natal, for example, the line to Stanger and the line down the south coast that we still have to open up. These projects are in process. They are very difficult projects because there was severe flood damage, so it's going to take a lot of money and several years. But I think that on the basis of what we've achieved so far, we are confident that is possible.
Minister, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Group CEO, perhaps just to bring you into this conversation, we're hearing about the great work that PRASA is doing at the moment. I want to speak about the initiatives that you are currently engaged in, the exciting initiatives perhaps that you're currently engaged in, or the exciting initiatives that you will engage in the future.
Thank you very much. As the Minister said, while we have made remarkable progress over the last few years, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. One of our key priorities is our signalling program. We need to ensure that we do implement signalling across the country. Here in KZN, the project is currently being rolled out. And that's important for two reasons. One is to ensure the safe movement of trains, and secondly, to increase our capacity on the network. We need to see trains running at 5-minute frequencies in the peak period and 15 or 20 minutes in the off-peak. We have got a very clear target set by the Minister of Transport that by the 2030 financial year, we should be transporting or making 600 million passenger trips. This has been a very good year. We've doubled our ridership, but certainly we are still way off in terms of achieving those numbers, and signalling becomes a key program. As the Minister has mentioned, we still are recovering a few more of the corridors here in eThekwini. We know the round down to the south to Kelso. We need to recover the Ndlovu bridge. It's also critical for the Transnet operations, and then the Stanger line. But importantly also in Gauteng, we need to get the Davidson Itwatwa corridor up and running. We need to get the corridor down to Residentia Vereniging, servicing the Greater Soweto as a critical corridor. And we are hopeful that before the end of this year, Minister will also bring back the Chris Hani link, the one in Cape Town on Central Line, which is feeding the Mitchells Plain area. So work is continuing on the ground. Critical for us is signalling that we need to bring back. And then importantly, as the Minister has indicated, the secondary mandate functions. We've got exciting projects being rolled out over and above Isipingo that we launched today. 2 weeks back, we launched student accommodation in Braamfontein, 700 beds of student accommodation, which is already over 90% let. And there are these programs that we are rolling out across the country at some of our flagship stations. So a lot of work still lay ahead, I think, in terms of the recovery and rebuild, but the modernization of the railway sector is important. You see the train behind us is only one element of a modernized system. It's the signaling, it's the station upgrades that we are dealing with, the telecommunication systems that we are rolling out across the country.
Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Thank you very much. Stephen, coming from that conversation, as we heard, the train itself is quite different compared to the other trains perhaps that we've had in the past, but also speaking to us about the major initiatives that were launched today, including Isipingo Mall. We also, of course, went to a solar plant, but also coming from this conversation, we heard that there's a number of goals, a number of other initiatives that will be launched in the future.